Hey there! Welcome to the Distracted Librarians podcast. We're your friendly neighborhood bookworms with a penchant for all things pop culture.
Picture this as our digital campfire, where we dive into our latest obsessions, analyze our favorite distractions, and rediscover the joy of reading.
Whether you're a media enthusiast, a book lover, or just need a break from the daily grind, you've come to the right spot.
So kick back, relax, and get delightfully distracted with us.
Hey everybody! Today we are going to talk about video games. My name is Nicole.
I'm Drew.
I'm Killian.
I'm Amanda.
All right, so let's just dig right into it.
I'm so excited.
I know. I'm like, I know I mentioned this the other day, but it is so weird to me that we have not talked about, we have talked about video games, so we have not had a dedicated episode to video games yet.
Yep.
So, wow. Okay. Anyway, we need to fix our priorities, people.
We got this.
All right. So what was the first video game you ever loved? Let's go around the table.
I was a Pokemon kid. I was very much a Pokemon kid. I brought my green Game Boy Color to the second grade with my Pokemon Blue. My little brother had Pokemon Red. It was a massive rivalry. It started all of our problems.
Oh, my goodness.
The first that I ever truly loved like that was probably also Pokemon, specifically Pokemon Blue, and my younger brother also had Pokemon Red.
I need you to stop right now.
So that's wild. A little horrifying. But I think the first one I remember is on the original Game Boy, the Super Mario Brothers 6 Golden Coins was the first one that I've got this yes, I remember playing this. I remember really liking this. I had my big gray brick of a Game Boy in the car with me all the time.
Nice.
So I have two items. One was called Hunt the Wumpus on Atari. So very 8-bit, very old. I don't even know. I think it was sort of a Zelda type game where you're sort of have this unfolding journey. You're supposed to find.
It's adventure.
You're hunting this mythical creature.
Okay.
And yeah, it was, I don't have many details. I just remember always wanting to play it. And it rarely was actually working because it was one of those things where always equipment fails.
So the thing about the Atari, and I distinctly remember this too as a kid growing up in the 80s, is that we couldn't keep it. The Atari could not be hooked up at all times because it would mess up our television. We couldn't watch anything else on it. So it would be my father taking 15 to 20 minutes to get this thing set up, climbing around behind the television, stepping on cactuses, shouting, et cetera, and then we could play Atari. I remember being really small, but that's my memory of early video gaming is the trouble and the hardness of getting it all set up.
There was always an equipment fail.
Yeah.
Although I do feel like stepping on a cactus was a family-specific hardship.
It was a very specific hardship. Yes. I don't know how thrilled he was about setting it up again after that.
No, I feel like we had that problem in my house too.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay, good.
I also had this game that it is so niche. It was on Super Mario, or excuse me, not Super Mario. It was on Nintendo Entertainment, NES, and it was called Bible Adventures.
Okay.
And my mom's specifically got this game, and you would have, it was your old school Mario Brothers quality in terms of game, and you had Noah in the ark gathering animals.
Oh my gosh, I've never heard of this.
And then you had a
crazy.
David and Goliath. I really enjoyed gathering animals for the ark as Noah. As a child.
Okay, so you no, we're digging into this.
Drew's face is so confused right now.
So you were each individual person. You weren't an Odysseus type deal going through and experiencing
and doing all
these
the
things. But you changed characters to fit the story.
It was very finite stories.
Sure.
It was Noah in the ark, your only option was to be Noah.
So level 1,
and
Noah
you
in the ark.
gather these animals
Okay.
to then put them in the ark.
And mice was level 1, elephants were level 8. And
I don't remember that much, but like you could stack the animals like on your shoulders. Like he was like holding a bunch of animals at once. You had to like go find where they're at. Of course, you want a pair of each. That's the story.
Yeah.
And
Oh boy.
yeah, it was. I don't know how my mom found this.
It kind of sounds like Farmville, but like just really weirdly.
I just love that this is the Amanda lore that we've unlocked today.
There's a lot. What's funny is I looked up the game since, and like they didn't sell it in normal video game stores. Like I think my mom had to like go send away.
Oh wow.
For this,
She was like, if you're gonna play a game at all, this is the game.
This is the game I want you to play.
Yeah, because I remember, like, when I was growing up, middle class, during the time, like, I had the Nintendo system, but getting the games was expensive. Like, at the time, like, we would go to Toys R Us or whatever it was, and they'd all be there behind their little plastic walls, and I would look at each one, and I'd be like, but can I get this one? And they were like $70, which at the time was kind of a lot. At least that's what I remember. I have no idea what it actually costs. But like, so I would get a game like once every blue moon for my birthday or Christmas or something like that. So yeah, like really went out for it.
For quite a while, we had 3 games.
Okay.
This is actually going to unlock a lot. Super Mario Brothers, Bible Adventures, and a hockey game.
Okay.
Because we all played hockey.
Okay.
And pick one of 3. Those are your options.
Yep. My first video game that I ever loved was Super Mario 3. I did like the other ones, but Super Mario 3 made me really happy. I felt like I was legitimately good at that game. And there was like, little tricks and things that you could do to speed up and get a time warp and all those kind of things. So, yeah, cool. All right, so let's see. Games with standout narratives. Do we have any games with standout narratives?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, what is the name of the TV show that just came back that has a standout narrative? Oh my gosh.
Last of Us?
Last of Us. There we go.
So good.
Thank you. Like things that have like really, really strong stories. Killian, you love story games.
I love story games. I also just video games as a storytelling medium is a huge thing for me because I don't think people think about it enough. And so we often like to pit video games against other media. And I think it's important to realize that like there are different ways to consume stories and video games are a valid way. One of my Drew's going to laugh at this one because Drew did see the aftermath of this one. After I got my PlayStation 4, I started playing Spiritfarer, which this is on a bunch of different platforms. I also own it on PC now. Everything about that game is so beautiful, except for the platforming of it, because I hate platforming. And that's still well done. I'm just bad at it. But it is this narrative story about this girl who is ferrying souls to like the afterlife. So she rows this ferry around. She's got her little cat companion, and you basically are building this ferry. And each time you get a new soul on board, you get a room for them, and you start unlocking bits and pieces of each character's storyline. And eventually, you can wrap up their storyline and take them to move on. And I sobbed uncontrollably every time I got to the end of a story because I got so attached to each of these little minigame characters. I have not finished the game.
Oh, wow.
Because I realized kind of where it was going, and I knew there were also updates coming out for it. So I was like, I'm going to wait till the updates so I can play the whole thing. Because I don't think I can handle playing the ending of this game twice.
Okay.
I still have not finished this game. But it has fully updated. And it is the combination of the art style, the music, and the story itself that make that game just such a standout to me. And like I said, Drew got to see the aftermath of me sobbing uncontrollably on our couch over this game. So
ferrying souls to the afterlife, that sounds very like Greek mythology to me. Is that like based off of something?
I don't think it's like completely based off of that. A lot of the artwork feels very like Japanese, almost. It's not like, it's like certain styles of anime imagery. It's not a direct interpretation of that, but yeah, I was a Greek mythology kid. I saw the parallels too, so I can see where you would think it might be, but
cool.
Yeah.
I feel like the video games that I played when I was a kid did not have very much in terms of storytelling. It was kind of like, oh, the princess was taken by the bad guy and you're going to kill all these things in order to get to her, and that's the story. But like as you're playing, there's no true real narrative in a way. So like
things like Super Mario's and Super Mario being a platformer that has a loose plot.
Yeah. So I feel like that's something that kind of evolved over time as the games became a little bit more sophisticated. So like the difference between me playing Super Mario 3 in the 80s and not really playing that many video games like in my 20s or into my 30s, and now playing Breath of the Wild is kind of mind-blowing because, like, whoa, the difference between the two things are just completely leaps and bounds different.
I will say those earlier Zelda games did still have a story, though.
Yeah.
So Zelda's been around for a minute.
Oh, gosh.
I've never finished one of them.
I have my original gold cartridge of Zelda for NES.
Nice.
That's amazing, actually.
It is, really. I've wanted to put it in for my kids to play it, but I also remember it being like so hard when I was a kid, but I'll just let them try and see. Yeah. So.
Yeah, one narratively that always stuck with me, this is going to be spoiler heaven, so I'm sorry for people, but also it was 15, 20 years ago.
So get over it.
Right, exactly. BioShock. So a common thing in video games in general is sort of this format of within the story, you're given a task, you carry out said task, that moves the story forward. And you're playing this game, doing all of these things, and then it gets to a point where this big dramatic twist is that your character was under some level of like hypnotic mind control the whole time.
Oh boy.
And that you were doing the bidding of the villain.
Oh my goodness.
And there is also a sub narrative structure in there of a villain being these characters called the Little Sisters. And you'd be fighting them constantly. They had a protector character. I don't remember its name right now. And there were two ways of dealing with them. You could either kill them, or there was a serum or something that you could get them to, and like kill off their protector, and then give them this serum to sort of heal them along the way.
Okay.
And when you finish the game, you get different endings based on how many of them you kept alive.
Oh, okay.
So it was the first game that really like made me think of my own implicit role in video games.
Yeah.
In a really interesting way.
Sure.
That like I don't play many video games in my regular life, but that's one that's always really stuck with me.
That's really interesting, too, because one of the big storytelling things with games is being part of that story.
Sure.
And so there's being that part of the story that's already prescribed and you're just going through it. But then you get the games where what you do as a part of the story affects how things change.
Like Oregon Trail.
Stresses me out.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, like Oregon Trail, it was like the first time that I
loved that game.
Kind of was in a kind of a more fully immersive sort of storytelling. That's kind of a great way of doing it. I mean, everybody dies. Nobody survives. Or maybe I just had really bad luck. I am not a pioneer. It's not happening.
I never had very good luck with that game. And I was always like, what is dysentery? I don't really
Yeah. Okay. Well, what about our favorite? Well, we already talked a little bit about childhood stuff, but like favorite consoles, favorite games from our childhood.
Yeah, we were definitely a Nintendo family growing up.
Nintendo family. Okay.
So I had, the Game Boy, the Super Nintendo, and the GameCube.
Okay.
And all of my favorites existed in that sphere until I got to college.
Sure. Okay.
So we were I still don't know how we ended up with the things that we ended up with. We had a very random assortment of things. I had the original gray brick Game Boy, a Game Boy Color, a Game Boy Advance. Those were all like childhood handhelds. But we also had the Sega Nomad, which most people don't know about. It played Genesis games, but it was a handheld.
Oh, okay.
That was not a thing for very long. We also had the Sega Dreamcast that was out for like 2 years before it stopped being made, and Sega said, yeah, we're not going to do consoles anymore because we can't. So like it was the early stuff that I had was so mixed. It was Nintendo heavy, but then these random Sega things. And then we went like PlayStation, Wii, and my brother ended up with an Xbox. I have multiple things.
Sure.
But then there were computer games. The Pajama Sam that my brother had, the Barbie computer games that I had.
Was it Math Blasters?
Yeah, Math Blaster and Computer Lab at school was a thing. But probably the most formative thing from my childhood was The Sims.
Oh, okay.
Because the original Sims game came out when I was in 5th or 6th grade.
Okay.
And I have played every iteration of The Sims since. So
Awesome.
Aggressively so.
I did not play The Sims 3 aggressively. I played that for like a minute. But The Sims 2 I was very into. And The Sims 4 is a problem. Has become a problem.
Because you love it so much, or because you don't like it very much?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a love-hate.
It's complicated.
Oh my gosh.
I was definitely played Nintendo the most. And it's funny because it's just so locked in like my brain as being this thing where you sit on the ground with the controller that is, hardware attached. And then you're staring up like with your head tilted at the TV screen. And so I never really loved anything on a computer. It's like I had to have that like sitting on the ground experience to have it be fun.
Okay.
I love that, actually.
Yeah. I had, so we only had the Nintendo system and an Atari that my father did not want to set up. And I would go to a friend's house because her younger brother was video game crazy. And they had like this whole like video game setup in the basement, and they had fancy chairs, like gaming chairs that were still on the ground, but they were
like a beanbag. Oh
no, they would rock, and they had a back to them, so you could sit on the chair and you could still play your game from the ground, but it was like really comfortable. They always had tons of snacks, which we did not have in my house. And he had all of the gaming systems. And I would basically play with her little brother all the time. She was probably like, what's going on with my friend? But we would play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and like lots. New games would come out and he would get them immediately. And he'd be like, you have to come and check out Mega Man and whatever else. And so, yeah, I would do it there.
See, the big one that I wanted that I never got was the N64, specifically for Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Stadium.
Okay.
Which I now own as an adult.
Well, there you go. It's never too late to get the game that you always wanted. Yeah.
When they came out with Pokemon Snap for the Switch, that was very exciting because I was like, oh my gosh, I have that. I can get that.
Yeah.
Then I like cried as I was playing it over like seeing some of my favorite Pokemon from the original game in that. And I was like, this is a lot of emotion over this game that I did not expect, but here we are.
So multiplayer games, like Nintendo could only handle 2 people at any time. So like any games that you guys really love that you can play with like a big group of people. I like Mario Kart, man. That was the first time I sat down with 3 other people and actually played a game together. And it was so much fun. just being able to kind of do that as a group instead of you two have to sit this one out or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah. For my most recent Christmas, one of my cousin's kids, we call them nieces and nephews, but technically cousins' kids, brought over her Switch with the newest version of Mario Kart.
Nice.
And my dad brought up an old TV from the basement and set it up in the main room so that it could be, on the TV. And then he got it all set up and then brought me over, grabbed me by the arm and brought me over and sat me down with my 7-year-old cousin, Nieceling, whatever. And was like, no, he's the one. He's the expert in Mario Kart. He's the one we could never beat. And I'm sitting there like, I don't think you understand how easy it was to beat you. That doesn't make me an authority. Yeah, but sure, let's play.
But kids are really good.
They're so good now.
My kids can pick something up and be great at it, and it's kind of eerie. I'm like, I've been playing this game for 3 years, and you're just gonna waltz up in here and kill me? What on earth is going on here? But it's innately, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I was like that too when I was a little kid, where I could just sit and do great. All
I've never been good at video games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe play games that you don't have to be good at, and you just enjoy. Those are fun too. Yeah.
I know with some of our video game programming, we throw the older consoles at kids. And what we run into is kids who haven't played on an NES or on a Genesis or anything like that before. The layout of the controllers is really different from a modern PlayStation controller, Xbox controller, Switch Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
So they definitely have a bit of a learning curve there, and they have to adjust. And it's always interesting to watch that process.
Sure. Well, because I feel like they can adapt pretty well over a little bit of time.
They figure it out pretty quickly,
Yeah.
But it's, how do I start it? Because you don't use the start button on a modern console controller to do much of anything anymore.
I guess that is true.
But so many of those older games, it's press start to start anything or to select anything.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's like they get to that first screen and they don't know what to do. It's like, okay, see how it says press start? There's a start button. Oh, yeah.
All right, so what are we playing right now, if we're playing anything? What are we playing? Oh my gosh, everyone looks at each other.
I'm looking at Killian because I haven't played a video game in many years.
Okay.
What am I playing now? The Sims 4. Again, it's complicated. So we talked about storytelling in games, and a lot of people will use The Sims as a means of storytelling and through playing with the characters, making characters and playing in the worlds and things like that. I am not that person. I tell my stories simply through building. So anything that I build in The Sims there's a plot line behind it. I did a challenge in a friend's Discord server once where she was having everyone who was participating build 3x3 or 5x5 rooms. And every single one of those rooms, there was a storyline to it, and they were painstakingly put together. So when I have focus and want to be that intent on something, I build in The Sims. The other big one that I play is Dead by Daylight, which I have talked about on here before. Because it is constantly changing, they add new characters, which then changes the game. They will alter some of the elements of the game to adjust the balance of the game. And I think the fact that it does always change like that is what makes it so it's still interesting, even though I've been playing it for 5 years. And that is an interesting one because I play that as a solo player, but I play the survivor side of it where you're playing on a team of 4, but a lot of people will play it on a team of 4 in a Discord call with each other. So they're talking, they're communicating with each other, they can strategize, and I am playing with random people from the internet who I have no contact with. So that's always really interesting because you get different styles of play from different people that you get paired with, which I think is part of why I'm always I feel like I'm bad at this game because I have to constantly adjust how I'm playing to mesh with how anyone else is playing.
Sure.
But those are the main ones I play. I play most Pokemon games that come out, at least for a little bit. I did just find a really cute game that is like a cozy game, which is not usually my speed. Cozy games usually stress me out because they're like, here, have a list of tasks to accomplish. And I go, that's too real.
This is not cozy at all.
It is not cozy to have to manage that much task management. That's just life. But it is this little 8-bit, you go to a bookstore and you just sell books and there's no do this today, or like you just go, and it's very cute and very soothing. So that's been my recent discovery of things that are calm and not jump scares every 5 minutes.
Cool.
I know for me, I haven't played video games in a hot minute, but I like to watch video games a lot. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty consistently, if I'm at home and need like background noise on Twitch or on YouTube, watching streamers. I like older games that are being speedrun. I follow the Monster Hunter series, and they just had a new game that came out 2 months ago. I got into that from an ex way back when, and have not played a game of it since we broke up, but have followed the franchise as it comes out with new ones. Mm-hmm. And just the level of, open world that's turned into, and just, every time I tune into a streamer, they're doing something completely different.
Yeah. I am playing Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda, but I don't play games as often as I would like to. My kids like watching me play, so that helps, because then I don't feel bad about being the one that I'm like taking away from our personal time, or let's stare at a screen, kids, but like they'll watch me play and it'll coax me to play. The other thing is I like playing Mario Party with my husband. I don't know. It's just kind of fun to just challenge each other and do that from time to time. So that's pretty much what we've been doing.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been looking into the new Nintendo Switch. And I'm like, I wonder if that's something that we need or if it's something we don't need. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to figure that out.
The model of selling games on that one stresses me out. Because that's not going to have cartridges in the same way that most things that the Switch does now. You can't play it off the cartridge. It's just the download.
It's always online, yeah.
And that's disappointing to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, so I think we can all agree that video games are important ways of telling stories, right?
Absolutely.
And also great ways to, I don't know, just kind of blow off some steam for a little while. And we hope that you enjoy your video games. If you have any suggestions for us, you can email us and let us know. We'll talk to you later. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Distracted Librarians.
Many thanks to BCTV for their support in recording, editing, and releasing this podcast, and to the Friends of the Library for sponsoring closed captioning on every episode.
If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to reach out to us at distracted@btpl.org.
Until then, keep those pages turning and those screens lighting up. We'll catch you in the next episode.
The views and opinions expressed in the Distracted Librarians podcast do not necessarily reflect those of Bloomfield Township Public Library, Bloomfield Community Television, the Birmingham Area Cable Board, or its producers or production staff.